So the absolute value of a number is the distance away from 0. That's why it's always positive, since there's no such thing as negative distance. Okay, so the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than 3. Okay, the distance is less than 3. Let's see, x minus 2 less than 3, split that. X minus 2 less than negative 3. Solve both equations. Okay, x is less than 5, x is less than negative 1. Let's see if that's right. I got it wrong again.
So as you can see, Juliet got her point down right with the definition of absolute value equation. But things are a little bit trickier with inequalities. Well, for inequalities, it's best for you guys to have a diagram first and foremost before moving on to solving the inequalities. So why don't we go and help her?
I don't get it. I'll go see Miss Fan. Miss Fan, I thought I knew the definition of absolute value, but I guess I don't know.
What is it again, by the way?
Isn't the absolute value of a number the distance away from 0?
Right.
And
Okay.
that's why we have 2 answers instead of 1.
Yeah. But what is the problem that you have?
Well, the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than 3.
Okay, so that's the inequalities, right? So go ahead, show me how you did.
Okay, so the first thing I did is that I separated them.
Because well, we have 2 answers, right? Okay. And I see.
And then I solved it like a regular problem.
I see here, Juliet. Well, you were correct with the definition of absolute value of a number, but things are a little bit trickier with the absolute value inequalities, okay? So why don't we solve something simpler than this one for a second? Let's put this away. For example, if I have a simpler problem like absolute value of x less than 2, for instance, right? So we're supposed to translate it as, so the distance of what number is less than 2 away from 0? I always start my problem, when I were your age, I always start my problem with a number line. So that is my 0, yeah? And it is 2 units away from 0, isn't it? So we have 1, 2, remember, 1, 2, forward and backward, right? Now, what is the number that is less than 2 units away from 0? Can you point them out for me? Can you give me some example, for instance?
2 and negative 2.
Okay, so will there be here the numbers that 2 units away from 0? Would that be here, or there, or there, or here? What do you think?
In between.
Right, because it has to be 2 units away from 0. So it has to be 2 units away from 0 within and backward. Yeah? So now we have absolute value of x is less than 2. So the numbers that within 2 units away from 0 has to be, x has to be greater than negative 2 for this part, isn't it? And x is less than 2 for that part. Yeah, and because they are together, so we have a conjunction word which is and. Okay? All right. Before we moved on or have you do your problems again, I'd like to indicate one thing. Absolute value inequalities. Okay? We have, you guys always mistaken there is 4 different kinds of inequalities. What are they, really? we only have two main kind, the greater than or the
Less than.
less than. Now, when you do it more and more, a lot more inequalities problem, you're going to get used to it. So if we have absolute value of A greater than B, similarly with absolute value of A greater than or equal to B. So in order for us to get rid of the absolute value, we have A greater than B or A less than negative B. You change the sign, you switch the inequalities, right? And similarly, we have absolute value of A less than B. So A is less than B. See, you drop the absolute value. And when you change the sign, you switch the inequality sign. Yeah? And a tip that I have for you guys to memorize whether it's going to be or and is greater. The N two letter is That's what a conjunction has to be. Or. Yeah? You guys mess this up a lot. All right. So now there's an example. You mind trying it for me?
Okay.
So what are you doing there? What are you dividing by 2?
To get rid of the 2 here.
Because we want to bring it back to the general, right? Very good. Awesome. So may I ask, what kind of inequalities are you looking at now?
Less than, greater than.
Greater than, yeah, so go ahead. Oh, by the way, greater means a conjunction word has to be
Or.
Okay. Thank you. And when you write down your final answer, put them together with the conjunction word, isn't it? Which is or. And most of the time, most teachers recommend you guys to box your answer. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. All right. Now, why don't you give it a try at your original problem for me?
Okay.
You see what you did wrong now? I hope so. Oh, by the way, when you look at this one, what will the conjunction word be?
And.
Go ahead.
So x minus 2 is less than 3. Split it. X minus 2 is greater than negative 3.
Change the sign, flip the inequality. Very good.
Now add 2 from both sides on the first equation. Ends up as 5. X is less than 5. Okay. And then add 2 from both sides on the second equation. You get x is greater than negative 1.
Is that your final answer?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Van. I'll see you again next time.
And I'm glad I could help. So remember, for absolute value inequalities, greater means
Or.
and less than, the conjunction word is
And.
And I'm so glad I could help you. Okay? I'll see you next time too, Juliet.
Okay. Bye, guys. See you again next time.